Jamaica, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Regional News. We start with some news within the Caribbean, where 5 Caribbean countries, including Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, have been given the highest risk assessment by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. CDC has raised the assessment of Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Bahamas, as well as Antigua and Barbuda and the Turks and Caicos Islands from level 3 to level 4, which is the highest on the risk assessment scale. As a result, the CDC is urging Americans wishing to travel to these Caribbean countries to avoid doing so, and if they have to travel, ensure that they take extra precautions, including testing before departure, wearing of masks, employing social distancing while traveling, among other recommendations. Meanwhile, Jamaica on Monday recorded 59 new cases of the COVID-19 and 1 death. The Ministry of Health and Wellness said that the new cases consist of 25 males and 34 females with ages ranging from 1 year to 87 years, and that the country's total confirmed cases now stand at 10,343, of which 4,443 are active. The authorities said that 4 of the new cases are contacts of confirmed cases, and the other 55 are under investigation. We now turn our attention to Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has issued a statement on the issue of migrants from Venezuela who are continuing to flee their country to travel by boat to Trinidad. He said that Trinidad and Tobago is currently under the latest assault, using nameless, faceless people armed with innocent children to try and force us to accept their understanding of refugee status and the international treaty, where a little nation of 1.3 million people must be expected to maintain open borders to a next-door neighbor of 34 million people even during a pandemic. He said that it is a matter not for the OAS, but for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I quote, "Currently, we have closed our borders even to our own citizens in this pandemic and would resist all efforts by others who are hell-bent on forcing open our borders through illegal immigration." End of quote. Meanwhile, a high court judge has ordered the immediate release of 10 minors and 4 of their mothers from a migrant detention center at the TNT Coast Guard heliport in Chaguaramas. Delivering a decision at the end of an emergency hearing on Tuesday, Justice Joan Charles ordered their release as she noted this country's immigration laws and policies do not provide for the detention and deportation of children. Over the past 2 weeks, over a dozen migrant children and parents have been released after bringing similar cases. The legal sources said while the center may still be housing more refugee children and their parents, they cannot be released unless they bring a lawsuit and have it considered by a judge. And finally, in the face of rising COVID-19 cases, Caribbean economies will need more aggressive fiscal actions to protect their productive assets and invest in ways that ensure more sustainable growth in the future, according to a new report by the Inter-American Development Bank. While fiscal space is a constraint, as a nascent economic recovery emerges, additional resources should be channeled to high productivity infrastructural products to further stimulate growth, the study notes. The report, A Pandemic Surge and Evolving Policy Responses, is part of the quarterly bulletin series put together by the economic team of the Caribbean Department of the IDB. It includes detailed analysis for Guyana, Jamaica, Barbados, the Bahamas, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. It comes at a time when COVID-19 cases are rising worldwide and in most Caribbean countries, negatively impacting the tourism industry just as it enters its peak season. Better roads or airports facilitate the transport of goods and services to market. Improved water and power infrastructure enable industries to operate at lower costs and improve an economy's productive capacity. Over time, this drives higher levels of private investment, incomes, and consumption. Importantly, both economic theory and empirical evidence suggest that countries with relatively less public capital or where the stock of capital is in need of improvement stand to benefit more, according to the report. And that is it for our region news this evening. And I continue to urge our viewers to stay indoors, wear those masks, use those hand sanitizers, and continue practicing social distancing. Back to you, Tamika.